Caleb, how was the break? An engagement?
Yes, yeah, it was a great few days. It was obviously a little bit of different break than I've had in the past. So had a great few days with kind of family and friends and Chloe. So yeah, it was a really nice few days. And then after that, obviously rested and recovered and refreshed and ready to get stuck into the second half of the year.
Do you feel refreshed after the break? Did the bike come at a good time for you?
For me personally, yeah. It was I don't know, you kind of have different parts of the year where you kind of start to feel a little bit more fatigued or overloaded or mentally fatigued, whatever it is. And yeah, it felt like the last kind of week's been really good. Feeling really refreshed, energised, and yeah, the boys have all come back feeling the same way. The training standard today, the intensity, and then Saturday as well has been through the roof, so it's been exciting.
Is there a concern that maybe such a big win and then a bye, you kind of maybe lose momentum a little bit?
We don't really think about that too much. I think if you had told us leading into the Melbourne game we would have won like that, we would have taken it, and we're not really concerned too much that the bye came that week. We were looking at it as a positive. It was a chance to refresh for a lot of guys, and for us, like we want to manage momentum both in games and week to week. We want to show up the same after a good win as we do after a tough loss. So it shouldn't affect the way the guys are preparing mentally or physically. And for us, like I said, it was a chance to refresh. And then the last few days has been a really good sign to see the way guys have really applied themselves to training again.
Caleb, you're having a fantastic season personally. Are you sort of self-aware that how well you're going and that that you're right up there in the Brownlow markets and you're being spoken about as an All-Australian again and all that sort of stuff?
There's an awareness, and obviously it gets spoken about a little bit, but my attention's solely focused on how we're going as a group and also as a midfield group. I think as a group we're really growing, and early in the year there was a few new pieces coming in with Youngie, and then see Sean being out and Jacko coming in, and as a midfield group it's really exciting what we're getting to. And I think on the weekend our scores from stoppage against Melbourne, our scores from stoppage are up on what they've been, and we've been doing a lot of the groundwork and getting a lot of things right around clearance and clearance numbers. And the next thing for us now is becoming really damaging as a group and getting more bang for buck from those. And that's been my focus as an individual and investing in teammates. And I feel like the rest of the stuff kind of looks after itself.
You spoke about the offensive side of things. The tag is back again in the AFL, and Bulldogs obviously got Bontempelli. Have you guys spoken about that? Are you looking at maybe going head-to-head with him, or is it a tag an option?
There's always things in place. I think each week, like there's a lot of things behind the scenes that go in it that might not specifically be a tag per se, but there's roles and things at stoppage or in transition that we put in place. And we've played the Doggies this year, and we had some plans in place for him that we felt like we were able to kind of work pretty well. And obviously he's still going to have impact on games. He's a star. He's, in my opinion, the best player in the comp in what he's able to do, both offensively and defensively, and as a team player and as a leader. So he's someone I look up to as a player, and he's going to have impact either way. But it's how we as a group and whoever gets the role kind of manages that and maintains it. But as a group, we've got plans that will be put in place as we do every week.
Do you go to JL though and be like, hey, I want to go head to head with this guy? Let me have a crack.
There's some times that I'll do that, and other times it's kind of just a team kind of thing, and he's a fair bit bigger than I am, so it's probably not a head-to-head matchup that we're going to go head-to-head the whole game. We've got guys that are a bit more suited to the bigger bodies and stuff, and kind of work a bit better in that space. And then like someone like Libba, for example, who's a very highly rated clearance contested player, is someone that I also look up to, that it's also got a lot of impact on their team. So it's not just Bond, it's Libba. If Ed Richards is playing, he's come into the midfield and had a really big impact, and Treloar, like it's not just one guy, they've got a really good midfield.
You had a bit of a mixed first half of the season. After that win last week, do you go into the second half now thinking, anything is possible?
Oh, definitely, but that's kind of been a bit of a thought throughout the whole start to the year. Like internally, the belief's always been there and really high. Like we've played some really good footy in the first half of the year, and there's been times where we haven't been good enough, and there's been times in games where we've let ourselves down for a quarter that's lost us a game or a 10-minute period or whatever it is. But consistently across the first half of the year, we've been playing the kind of footy that we want to play, aside from probably the derby, and that's something that we'll learn from. But aside from that, like we feel like across the board there's been a lot of growth, but also a lot of consistency. And for us now, it's how we put that in game 4 quarters together, and that was probably the first time we did that against Melbourne, which was really exciting. But for us, not much changes. The belief's there internally, and now it's just about going and putting a 4-quarter performance on the park week in, week out.
Now that you've seen that you can do that, put a 4-quarter performance out, is it easier then to do it week after week?
Well, it's definitely, when you experience something and are exposed to it, it definitely heightens and increases that belief, especially for a young group. There's guys here that haven't played in a successful team over a longer period of time, where it's just week in, week out. You just put those performances and bank those wins. So for us, we're on a new path and a new journey, and we're doing it together, and we're learning a lot along the way. But I think it only helps. Like it can't be a detriment in the way that we are wired and the way that we talk week in, week out. Like I said before, it's process driven. We want to show up the same week in, week out. And I guess the behind the scenes belief that will grow from a performance like that can only be a positive.
Your old mate of yours, Rory Lobb, has been in the news over there a little bit about a potential another move, and there was a bit made of the booing when he got subbed out. Have you guys anyone reached out for him and said hello? Or,
I'm sure there's guys that are kind of still close to him and will reach out and still mates, because there's a few guys that are still close to him. But I didn't really watch much footy over the weekend. I kind of disengaged and kind of got away from the footy, so I didn't kind of see any of the stuff over the weekend. But I wish him the best, and I'm sure he's getting an opportunity to play some footy now and put his best foot forward. So wish him the best.
When you sort of have that reset for the second half of the season, do you come together as a group after that bye? Is there any specific individual goals or group goals that you really then target that you change after that point of the season?
Not really in terms of anything that changes. For us, it's just doubling down on what makes us and our strengths and our weapons and what we're building at the moment. And that improvement will come week in, week out, the way we're going about it. But I guess we kind of just focus on what we can control and getting back. And I guess what we've done is give ourselves a platform to build from. And you get to this part of the year, and sometimes, like we were last year, we're down kind of in the bottom half of the 8, or kind of bottom half of the bottom 8, and you're struggling to kind of see that belief. And this year is a bit different. We've given ourselves a really good chance to build in this second half of the year, and give ourselves a really good chance to play finals footy and be where we want to be come September time. Because last year, this time of the year, we didn't really have that opportunity, or we were kind of pushing stuff uphill to try and get there. So it's exciting, and for us, we're just doubling down on us.
Before the Melbourne game, Nat Fyfe copped a little bit of criticism as well for his performances, and so did Sonny. How do you sort of back those guys in for the second half of the year?
Just fill them with confidence that we back them in. There's a lot of love in the change rooms for those two guys, and the other guys that are copping a little bit of flack as well, in terms of like Sean and Luke and how that's going to work. So those guys have got a lot of love in the 4 walls, from the coaching staff to the players. So I'm sure they feel that, and it's our job to make sure they do. I think we spoke about it after the game. Those guys had a great impact in that game, and they responded really well to that criticism, and that's fine. That's everyone's opinion, and they can write what they want. But internally, we value what they're doing, and we understand the role that they're playing in this team, not only on field but off field with their leadership as well.
Brendan Cox was out there today. How's he travelling? Will we see him soon?
Yeah, you'll see him soon. He's going really well. The work he's put in over the last 3 or 4 months has been crazy. He's really tough kind of period for him with the pre-season, missing a lot of time. Obviously with his kind of leg issue, and then kind of getting back and then doing his hammy again. So it's been tough for him. He spent a lot of time in the cross-training room and getting to work, but his application to that and his strength program and everything, he's a better athlete for it, and now it's about getting back out in the field and getting into footy. So a few things to tick off this week, hopefully, and might see some minutes this week. But he's got a few boxes to tick this week, but it's not far off.